We're heading into the weekend, but boy, the Dolphins are staying busy. Chris Grier and this organization made a roster move earlier today. Plus, head coach Mike McDaniel hints at another move potentially coming soon. I am Nic Rohloff. We'll break down everything around the Dolphins on today's edition of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. We'll start with the roster move. Miami announced it really early in the morning today. Brett Gabbert has been signed, Kader Kohou on IR. Now, this was just a formality because once Kader Kohou was officially announced out for the year due to the torn ACL that he has, we knew an IR move was happening. The Dolphins just were probably trying to look for a player to replace him on their offseason 90-man roster, and it is quarterback Brett Gabbert. We'll talk about Brett here just in 1 second. But I did want to give some shout-outs to Cybertone X and Kyle Grabowski. The last time that we asked for y'all to share the video, y'all did, and tagged me on Twitter. Appreciate these two. If you want to help us grow more, make sure you do click that share button. Post to Twitter or send it to family members, friends, coworkers, doesn't matter. To spread the word of Dolphins Today, it is greatly appreciated. All right, let's get to know Brett Gabbert here. He is 24 years old. He was playing in Miami of Ohio in the MAC for the Red Hawks from 2019 to 2024. Yes, that last name is familiar. He is the younger brother of former NFL quarterback Blaine Gabbert. He was a UDFA that Miami brought into their rookie minicamp just weeks after the NFL draft. Miami actually also signed him earlier in the offseason. They later released him to make another roster move, but clearly still thought of him as a player they would bring back if they ever had an open roster spot, and well, they did. And this is a player that was very accomplished in his career. I mean, he was in college for almost 6 seasons. Wow, 2019 to 2024, that is 6 seasons. My goodness, he had a couple of redshirt years in there. But he was first-team All-MAC in his final year. He was the freshman of the year in 2019. He actually had a lot of buzz after that first season where many thought he could maybe transfer to a Power 5 program and then work himself into an NFL draft prospect. He was third-team All-MAC twice, which obviously complements first-team All-MAC. So he's in college 6 years, and he was on the All-MAC squad 3 of them. There's something for you. He does have a pretty strong arm, I won't lie. That is one of his main takeaways, but he is not accurate. And they did play in an air raid type of offense in Miami of Ohio. Completing only 58.5% of his passes isn't ideal, but more than a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio isn't going to make me that upset. This is more of just a camp body and potential guy to help you get through the preseason more than a player that will potentially have a long-lasting impact for the Miami Dolphins. But I want to ask you a question. Be honest. Do you guys remember signing Brett Gabbert earlier in the offseason? I look back at it. It was May 24th or May 25th when the Dolphins signed Brett Gabbert. I look back to see when I made the video on him joining Miami. So what is that, a month and a half ago? 2 months ago now? Do you remember it? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And this is the last thing I'll say on Brett Gabbert here. I'm not sure if Miami wanted to have a fourth quarterback. It seems like they did. I mean, they had the last 2 weeks of training camp with only 3, that being Tua, Zach Wilson, and Quinn Ewers. But maybe as the preseason gets closer, obviously next Sunday, the August 10th, is the first preseason game against the Chicago Bears, and then they play against the Lions and Jaguars to round out their preseason. Maybe they wanted to have a fourth QB there. But I was fine rolling with 3, to be honest. I didn't feel the need to keep a fourth quarterback on this 90-man roster because I just want more reps to be had for year 2 backups to Tua Tagovailoa, that being Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. I mean, Tua has been absolutely phenomenal through the first 2 weeks of training camp at this point. 8 practices, 0 interceptions, excellent command of the locker room, and precise accuracy being displayed on all levels. But Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers are both like highly talented developmental guys. I know Wilson was a second overall pick and he's been a starter before, but this is a guy that needs to continue to get reps, continue to practice, learn this Mike McDaniel offense so he can confidently step in, God forbid, Tua misses more time again this year. And then obviously we've talked about Quinn Ewers a ton, 7th round rookie with a ton of talent, former number 1 overall recruit, 5-star quarterback, but he just got hurt. Mechanics were an issue. Footwork was an issue. Decision-making. Now, he's had a good camp to this point for what I was expecting, but I still want to see him get the most reps possible, and I really don't think Brett Gabbert stealing reps from Wilson or Ewers is really beneficial. I guess if you want them to play not that much in the preseason, okay, but I don't really understand it. I would like to see Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson play almost a half of football every single week in the preseason. And coming up in just 1 second, we are actually going to take a look at what Mike McDaniel said about potentially signing another player, making another roster move. But before we get to that, I want to give some love and shout out the sponsor on today's show, which is Ethos, which in this day and age, you can take anything for granted. When you lose someone close to you, you can't help but think about the future. With life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered, can help pay the mortgage or your kids' college tuition. And right now, you can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. The process is 100% online with no medical exam required. Just answer a few questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. Over 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. So join them. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Could another move be coming for the Miami Dolphins? We have speculated that one could be on the horizon at cornerback or tight end, but with Noah Fant being signed, it feels less likely that a tight end is going to be a move, but cornerback is the one we have to talk about once again, because before training camp practice today on Friday, Mike McDaniel was asked by reporters if him and Chris Grier were thinking of adding a veteran corner. Well, his response to the question sparked my interest a little bit. He said that we are constantly trying to improve the team. The way players are developing, I have more than enough to keep my attention. So he kind of keeps it coy by saying they would certainly add one that would improve the roster, but they feel like they have good things going on in the building already. I will just cut through the bullshit and say it myself, and I've been saying it for 2 months now. They need to sign one. And I like the pickup of Jack Jones by the way he's played in camp so far. And Mike Hilton, I think, is a perfect replacement for Kader Kohou, who's out for the year. But since Kader is done for the season, I don't think the corners that Miami currently has in the building is going to be good enough to sustain a 17-game season where Miami has aspirations to make the playoffs. And I know Miami fans are going to be like, this team isn't good. Well, you think they're going to make the playoffs? Well, here's the thing. Every team wants to make the playoffs going into the season. And guess what? A regime in McDaniel and Grier, who I would say their seats are pretty warm. I would say Tua's seat is a little bit warm too. If he can't stay healthy and lead this team to the playoffs, yeah, they're going to want to try to make the playoffs. And this cornerback room is not good enough to make the postseason. Yes, I do think this front seven and pass rush is going to be absolutely elite and masquerade some of the issues on the back end. But if you can pair up an average secondary with this pass rush, well, now we're talking about a defense that will be top 10 in the National Football League. And I think adding another veteran corner would push you closer to that direction than obviously where you are right now. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel for daily Dolphins coverage and training camp updates, whether it is news, whether it is signings, whether it is takeaways. We have you covered, and we'll be live for the 3 preseason games in August, as well as the regular season getting up and started in September. So subscribe today. Let's get to 72K. All right, when we look at the Dolphins cornerback targets, they could really start to look at it potentially signing. Dylan, we could just show all 4 of them at the same time here. Rasul Douglas, Stephon Gilmore, Asante Samuel Jr., and James Bradbury are the 4 most likely that Miami are probably going to target. They've been linked to Rasul Douglas a ton. They've checked in on Asante Samuel Jr. We know they had interest in James Bradbury earlier in the offseason. Nothing really has linked Miami to Stephon Gilmore, but I do put him as a potential target for Miami due to their need at boundary cornerback and a starter that Gilmore could easily come in and play. But here's the thing. Even though I have Samuel Jr. as my 3rd cornerback there, I think that's ranked in terms of likelihood. But if you're asking me, he is still my number 1. And the medicals obviously have to check out as he's returning from a shoulder/neck surgery in late April. And we haven't really got a clear update on if those medicals are checked out and positive to this point. But if they are, Miami needs to bring him into the building. He would complete this cornerback room. He is so versatile. These are his coverage stats in 2023. He didn't really play that much last season due to that injury, which is why we take it back to 2023. But I just think this illustrates his versatility and how he is actually a better man corner than he is in zone coverage. This is not me saying he can't play zone coverage. Obviously, Miami plays that more than most teams, ranked in the top 10 in terms of their cover 2 and cover 3 snap coverage percentage last season. I just think Asante Samuel Jr., being 25 years old, makes sense for Miami to fit their timeline, fit their youth in their cornerback room, but he has the play to back it up, and I would say he's probably the best corner in this day and age, if fully healthy, out of the 4 we just mentioned. So he's my top target, but is Asante Samuel Jr. your top target? If he is, type 1. If he isn't, type 2. I'll be real. I want Asante Samuel Jr., but it's either him or Stephon Gilmore for me. I'm kind of out on Rasul Douglas. I would obviously not be upset if Miami signed him, and I'm not going to act like I would be mad if they did. But with him already declining 2 offers from Miami 2 weeks ago and then 2 months ago, it's like, dude, just sign with another team then, man. If you had that many offers with that much money on the table, you would have already signed with a team. So miss me with Miami's not offering you enough. Like, you're still a free agent in August for a reason. So I'm either going with Gilmore or Asante Samuel Jr. And I think Gilmore is a little bit overhated potentially and like just not thought of as a guy that can contribute because he is 34 years old and he's not the defensive player of the year version of himself that he was in 2019 and in the early 2020s. But he's still been very productive over the past 2 seasons for Dallas and Minnesota. I mean, I think his numbers are solid. They're better than what Rasul Douglas's numbers were a year ago. And if he wants to wait until the end of the preseason, closer to the regular season, to sign and be a starter, maybe Miami is that perfect opportunity for him. You play in the warm weather. He can continue to complete the AFC gauntlet. He's played in Buffalo. He's played in New England. He hasn't played for the Jets yet, and hopefully he never does. But Miami could be another one on the checklist. The point is, I just want Miami to add another corner. And I know it might get redundant sometimes that we talk about this every single video. It's not every single one, but it does feel like every day in some capacity the cornerback room gets brought up. But we're also breaking down Dolphins football every single day, and I don't think you could talk about this football team heading into the preseason or the regular season right now without bringing up how poor this cornerback room is constructed and all the injuries that have occurred to this group. So I'm sorry, folks. We're going to still talk about it until another corner is signed. And if a corner does get signed, we will break the news on Twitter first before we come make a video about it on the channel. So if you want wall-to-wall, 365, 24/7 coverage of Miami Dolphins football, subscribe and follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff's the handle.